Okay, so I'm here at Disneyland Paris to answer a very important question, which is Disneyland Paris good for adults? We know that if kids come here, they're going to have a good time, but what about just grown-ups? Like, is it kind of just too kiddie-ish? That's what I'm exploring today. So, actually, I'm filming this after I'm midway through my day already, so I have a good idea, but let's get into it. I'm actually starting my day at the studios and then making my way here to the main park second. So I would say in general, I enjoyed the studios more than the regular park, but there are some caveats in there about the two. So let's start out by talking about the studios park, because that was a lot of fun. Also in this video, I'm going to talk about time, whether or not you can do everything in one day, and like some bad advice / good advice that I got, and like what I think the ideal way to organize the day might be. But for now, let's start with the studios part. I had heard that the studios is more oriented towards adults, and since I went to both, I would say in general I think that is true, but I think both parks have something to offer. But I will say I went in June, and Disneyland Paris, a lot was closed. A lot of the rides were not working, and that was a big bummer for the main park, whereas at the studios, that was less of an issue. So off the bat, when you're thinking about whether or not Disneyland Paris is right for you, one thing to keep in the back of your mind, which I kind of didn't do, and it was like a mistake initially, is you want to sort of gauge also where you are. Because where you are as an adult might be different than where you are when you were like 18, right? My last time being at a Disney park, I think I was like a teenager, and now as an adult, like where I am is different as far as like, do I want a crazy ride? Do I want roller coasters? So here's what happened to me. I started out in Disney Studios Park, and I remember the Tower of Terror from when I was a kid, and I loved it. Now let me just say, I played myself on this ride. And I'm making this video also so that you don't play yourself. I remember one thing. I know what the ride was like when I was a kid. Let me tell you this. Disneyland Paris has updated that ride. It is no longer ride you around, take you up, and then drop you, which is what I recall. That ride was like way more intense, way more scary than what I was expecting. And that was like my second ride of the day. So I was a little shell-shocked after that. So that sort of made me a little trigger shy with some of the other rides and roller coasters that I thought I might want to go on. But I talked to some other people who were there, adults who were there without kids, and they loved it, by the way. Like it was I don't know if they were from Spain or Mexico, but I heard like a Spanish accent. They were obsessed with the ride, thought it was amazing. I was terrified at the end of it. So that's the thing. You also need to like gauge yourself, know where you are. Okay, now let's look at some of the rides in the studios. A lot of them are fun for adults who are in the mood for something chill and nostalgic. I had a really good time on the Magic Carpet and other rides like that. Everything except for the Cars themed tour, which I really could have skipped. I think it's not the best for adults. Oh, and there was also one ride that was kind of like playing a virtual reality game with like 3D things kind of flying at you. That's fun, especially if you're competitive. But if you do want big thrills, other than the Tower of Terror, there are two main rides. There's a roller coaster called Crush's Coaster, and then there's also an Avengers themed ride. On both Crush's Coaster. Okay, I'll talk about that more when I talk about the timings, because I definitely made a mistake that ended up with my not being able to get on it. But with the Avengers ride, okay, I was actually a little scared to get on after what happened with the Tower of Terror. But I did manage to catch one of the shows, which was Alice in Wonderland themed. There were singers, acrobats, and also even bikers who were really cool. And by the way, I'm filming a lot of this video no longer at Disney because Disney is great, but there's a lot of music that's always around. I don't want to have copyright strike issues, and there's a lot of kids, and I don't want, there's rules about having kids in videos. I don't want any YouTube problems. So that's why that's going on, by the way. Now let's go back over to the main Disney park. I'm here with just my husband. Of course, a lot of people come here with kids, but is it good for just us two? Let's see. I must say, the ambiance here is great. Over here at the main park, there are lots of singers and performers, of course in the main square, but then in just other areas. You might just be walking around and you'll see a group of people singing, which is just really fun. Now back over at the studios, there are characters that will walk around and that people or kids can interact with, but at the main studio here, there are singers, which is nice. It's just that so much was closed or broken. This looks like fun. Big Thunder Mountain, not open. At one point, I thought I was about to get on a ride that was working. It didn't have any line, and this happened.
Be back in operation very soon. Please remain seated. Thank you.
As soon as I got to the front, we were told to leave. Okay, well that was a bust. But it wasn't all disappointment and sadness. Over here at the main Disneyland park, two things actually still made it worthwhile, even though so much was broken. And that is Star Tours and The Lion King. People who love The Lion King will probably find this performance alone worth the price of entry. The costumes, the singing, the acrobatics, it was genuinely amazing. And then there's a Star Tours ride, which is a Star Wars ride. It was so much fun. So much so that people actually clapped at the end of it, which I've never even seen before. I went on it twice, and were it not the end of the day and were I not so tired, I would have gone on again. Star Tours and Lion King were both amazing, but it's June. A lot was broken. I mean, look at this. Here in the app, you can see like what's working and what's not working. Maybe I just had really bad timing, but as an adult, I feel like, I can make it to two different parks. I bought the pass for both, but in Disneyland, I wanted to go on Indiana Jones. That one was broken. It wasn't broken all day, but when I was there, it was broken. And then by the time it was then working again, the line was crazy long and I was tired. Then another ride I went to, the haunted house kind of ride, stood in line, thought everything was going well. Next thing you know, that ride is down and broken. Not to mention Big Thunder Mountain. There are some big rides there, broken. So I had more fun at the studios where more things were working. But so as an adult, if you're deciding which park to go to, I think there's some interesting criteria, because I do still think for me it was worth it to go to the regular Disneyland. I feel like I saw more just adults alone at the studios than at regular Disneyland Paris. But there is fun to be had at both. But when I was at Disneyland Paris, a lot of things were just broken and not working. Another thing, I had read online that if you want to get a lot done, it's best to do it in the evening. That you can get more done in the evening than you can during the day. Now, of course, this is partially true, but it's not fully true. So I made the mistake of thinking I was going to circle back to some of the big rides because, they had a 50-minute, 70-minute wait time and I just didn't want to deal with it. So I thought, okay, I'll just do other more chill stuff and then I'll hit those rides in the evening before I go home. Those rides were still busy at 8 p.m. There was still an hour plus wait. So here's the thing. Some of the rides really do die down in the evening, but I would say when I was there in June, rides didn't start really dying down until 7:30, 8, some not until 8:30, closer to 9. And one of the parks closes at 9:30, one closes at like 10 something. So there's not that much time to ride some of these rides. So when you plan your day, keep that in mind. Some of the really popular rides, they're always going to have a long line. Okay, so that's it for now. Hope this video was helpful. If you've been to Disneyland Paris, you're thinking about going, let me know in the comments. I want to know what's on your mind.